rightly introduced that the co-curricular activities at the school level are the ones which help in development of the skills and lifelong learning. So that is what we are here for, and we are going to talk about how co-curricular activities contribute to learning and the lifelong learning that we have in schools and which carry forward for life. We have the panelists here to discuss about how the co-curricular activities in their own schools have been fueling energy into the children. With the introduction of NEP and a lot of new changes happening in the educational scenario, it is very, very prominent that holistic development is focused upon and thought of. The people who are here would be throwing light on how co-curricular activities will help us in building individuals with a bend of mind who are able to adapt and adopt themselves to any scenario for that matter. To start with, there is always a question which confuses while the discussion goes on, that what is the difference between co-curricular and extracurricular activities? I would like Jasbir to throw some light on this.
A very happy afternoon to everybody post-lunch. Yes, ma'am, the question which you have put in, basically the importance of co-curricular activities, you said. Now, why we have to talk about this is because we are trying to implement a new structure and which is going to cater to all the faculties of a child. I would like to draw your attention to a statement long back in America. They talked of no child left behind. Okay? So something similar in our curriculum is education for all, the inclusive policy. It's a wonderful policy. But the irony is, when we say no child left behind, we do not mean only the children who are not in the school. Well, I've been working on the ground level, so I know there are lots of children in the school who are also going to be left behind because they are not really doing what they are made for. Our education system is working on conformity. That means similar curriculum, similar kind of design for everybody, which has been designed in boardrooms and not in a classroom. Okay? So I feel the academic subjects, means the literacy as well as the creativity, have to get equal importance if you really don't want no child to be left behind. So that is the aim why we need to think about giving equal weightage to all the co-curricular. I mean, they're absolutely equally important to all our other subjects. Now, to try and implement, education for all, we have come down to something called, everyone's been talking about STEM or STEAM, right? Focusing on a few faculties, that is the science, the technology, engineering, as well as mathematics. Now, when we are going to focus on all this, we are automatically putting less light on the other subjects, because we feel if we make a child learn all these, is comfortable with these faculties, he's educated. Educated, yes, but he has lost his creativity down the line. And I feel very pained to see that there are children who have a lot of creativity, but they are struggling with the main curriculum, and that is why they're lacking behind in their creativity. In fact, it just fades off with time. As I earlier also said, that education is basically preparing children to understand the world around them, which was there even before they were born. And also there's another world which came up with them when they were born. That is their own inner world, their own passions, their own desires, their own, fears, their own anxiety. That is individual. And every child is individual. I'm sure you all have children. If you have more than one child, your one child is not the same as the other. They are different. So leave alone all the other children. Everyone is an individual. So they do need individual attention. Here I would like to highlight, I'm quite impressed by the way Finland has taken up STEM. They excel excellently in their STEM, the STEM. Why? Not because they're focusing only on that, because they have been giving equal weightage to all the other curriculums, the arts, The music, the dance, the dramatics, everything else, other faculties been given the same recognition. And what is more very aspiring about Finland is they do not have any testing system the way we have. The testing system. Testing, I don't mean that we should not test children at all. It could be diagnostic, something like we go for our blood test or something, we just get an idea. That's not our entire, results, basically. That you just get an idea of where you stand. So similarly, if our testing is just for diagnostic purpose and not really to assess a child and place him in some order, it would be more helpful. And thirdly, here I would like to say that what I like about the Finland education is they leave the learning and the teaching process on the teacher. Because basically she is the system. She is the system who needs to be upgraded and professionally, obviously enhanced regularly. And they leave because teaching is one thing, we talk about teaching. A teacher is teaching, but is learning happening? XYZ is teaching in a classroom, but are the children learning? No. So education hasn't happened. So this is what I feel. That is why we need to give weightage to all the other things equally.
Thank you, Jasbir. However, she spoke about individual differences and catering to individual differences in the classroom to have an effective impact on the children. But the question was that what is the difference between curricular and extracurricular activities,
Yes.
which is being debated time and again. And many of the teachers and the educators in the classroom really do not understand what is the difference and how to include and involve it into the system. So if you would like to throw some light on that.
I would like to continue on that. See why I am not able to differentiate, because I do not want to differentiate them at all. I want them to be entire in one package. If we talk about Paul McCartney, we talk about George Harrison, this was half the band of Beatles, people of my generation would know. In the school, they were following the same curriculum. Even the music teacher did not identify that the half the band of Beatles was in her class. Okay? So this list is pretty long. Winston Churchill, he got a fail in English, and later on he got a Nobel Prize for Literature. So this is because we are not able to identify the passion and talents of our children. So basically, we don't need to separate these two at all. They do go hand in hand. All we can do is to implement, I'm coming to that. Of course, I'm not saying all children should just be singing and dancing. To implement it properly, we can be offering our system not in a conformity linear manner, but it could be little individualized in the sense, 3 major categories. One is children, for example, we have the economically weaker sections. I totally agree by offering education to all, but yes, they will not benefit too much sitting in the same curriculum. They should be given the skilled curriculum in the same school, but there should be a separate curriculum for them, so it is important there. Then children who are actually going to go for further education or college, everybody going to college is not important anymore. So they need to be there, the people who have to go to college. But then there's another sector who does not really care about taking it in a very professional manner. They could be skilled in their inner passions. For example, they can go into vocationals right from the beginning in the school. So these 3 things should be there within the school itself. That is inclusive, and that is why we'll be able to cater to all of them.
Right. We are definitely promoting inclusive education in our classrooms, be it related to the children who have little learning disability or any other differences for that matter. Now, I would like to ask you a question that, Veena, you've been into classrooms, you've been into you go and visit different schools, and there are a lot of activities happening in different schools, and every school has a learning experience for each one of us. How do you think that how relevant the co-curricular activities, how relevantly they do channelize the energy of the students, be it with bag or without bag, or what kind of activities do you suggest which would definitely channelize the energies of the children into a positive direction?
Good afternoon, everyone. And I would like everyone to participate with me. Are you all ready? because we have had lunch and half of us are dozing off or maybe on our mobiles. So for a few minutes, all of you, are you here with me? Yes. So I'm going to say a statement which I use mostly with the teachers to understand that. How do you interpret that? Each one of us can have our own interpretation. When the student is ready, the teacher appears. And when the student is fully ready, the teacher disappears. What is your interpretation out of that? And that's what is actually the essence of NEP 2020 and the corresponding documents of NCF school education or NCF foundational stage or even the framework for teacher education coming up. So how do you interpret that in linking with what NEP is saying about? When the student is ready, the teacher appears. And when the student is fully ready, the teacher disappears. What is your interpretation? Any one of you, and all answers are correct because I look at it from my own perspective, that I'm talking of each one of you. Any one of you who would like to do that? It's open to anyone, let's talk. It's not lecture from this me side to that side. Anyone? Thank you so much, ma'am. But still, I would take that as one part, that during the examination, let's put it up into the education process itself and not relate to the assessments. It is the education process.
So may I answer, ma'am?
Yes,
If
ma'am.
you allow me to.
Yeah, it's
As
not
a
that.
student, I feel.
Because all of us are just talking here, so I thought participants will also participate, sitting out there will participate. Yes, ma'am, go on.
So when a principal like you is talking, I become a teacher and a student as well. So, ma'am, I completely agree with you what you said. It's basically that, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. She does that magic in the classroom, that the kind of curiosity is generated inside a student to learn more about that particular concept or topic what the teacher is going to teach. And when that curiosity is generated, the teacher is there in the classroom or not, it hardly matters. The child is on his own or her own, and they are researching, finding out, talking to people, communicating, collaborating to learn more about that topic, if I'm not wrong.
Thank you so much. And that's what is the essence. I'll put it into the right words, which NEP 2020 says, that from a dependent learner, when the child enters in the nursery class in the school, how does the child become an interested learner? What do you give in the classroom? How do you stimulate that curiosity? How does the child become an involved learner when he's participating in the learning process? And finally, he becomes an independent, lifelong learner. And that's what NEP 2020 is saying. And that's what comprehension of language, literacy development, which NEP 2020 is talking about. So everyone can have, and thank you so much, ma'am, for that interview. But that's what is the essence of education. Now, there are different kinds of activities that I do in the school. Now, one are curricular, which the teacher does with respect to the subject specific. If I'm teaching maths, I'm doing maths activity. If I'm teaching science, I'm doing science activity. There are others which are co-curricular, which supplement the curriculum. That means they may not be subject specific, but they are supplementing the curriculum learning concepts. And then there are extracurricular which are beyond the curriculum, like symposium, that project-based learning, visits, tours and all that. So how do you really categorize your activities so that every child, differentiated learner, which ma'am talked about, because each one of us needs a different kind of exposure to learn. Some learn from the books, some learn from activities, some learn from listening, some learn from going outside, or kinesthetic learners which learn and play, right? So there's everyone, I'm going to share some activities with you. The first thing which I really love is debate with a difference, that I have done in my own school also as a principal, where inter-house competition, each house is supposed to select 4 people. One could be any Prime Minister of India, one could be a finance minister, and one will be foreign minister, and one will be a common man. So all the 4 houses choose 4, and then there is a debate on an issue. How does that become a language skill development, research, and finding out all the stuff from the Google, or the teamwork, cooperation, leadership, and supporting each other in those processes is one of the activities which I have really enjoyed with my school as a principal, and which I do in many schools where I go. Another thing which people have been talking about, which NEP says, is experiential learning. Now, how do I interpret? It may be my version, it may not be yours, but I'm just putting it up and you can just tell me that how does this make a difference. Experiential learning means you experience the learning taught by the teacher to validate. Like I do physics and maths, other also. So if I teach them some law of physics, then I tell them, I have taught this law, now go and verify this law in the class lab. Whereas I have turned, with NEP coming around, I have turned around these activities not as experiential learning, but linking learning with experience. So you go and experience, and then come back and tell us what have you learned, and then I as a teacher will help you out to get the concept. So it is linking, even for grade 1 to 5, I will give you simple activities. Everybody knows sinking and floating experiment that we have been doing. But there, how do we do it? We keep on asking, this is water, you have lemon, you have apple, you have various fruits and vegetables. So we tell them, name the object. First think whether it will sink or float. So you are giving them thinking time, you are creating thinking classrooms. So we tell them, write down. And then we also tell them, why do you think it will sink or float? So we have that worksheet made for them. And then say everybody is ready with their answers. They have already written, lemon will float, it will float because I feel this. Apple will sink because I feel this. So they have written their reasons. And now you do the experiment. And then show it to the children whether their hypothesis was correct or not. So it is now linking your learning with the experience, with validation, experimentation, 5E cycle, Cobb's learning cycle that we keep on talking about. This is one of the things that has been very, during COVID times, we really had fun online sessions doing all these activities. I think I'll give time for the other person, then I'll come back to this for more activities later on. But there's something that I really love doing is having question answers and language skills in 1 to 5 with the rhymes. And if you give me time, I'll do with all of you.
Thank you so much. We have already got the signal for another 2 to 3 minutes. So anyways, definitely individualistic learning and linking the classroom to the outside world is the need of the hour. But on the other hand, there were certain researches conducted in different countries wherein it was found that the Indian teachers, they basically do not feel pressurized in engaging their students in co-curricular activities in comparison to their peers in other countries. Madhu, would you like to answer that? Do you really feel that involvement in students in co-curricular activity also helps in the professional development of the teachers?
I strongly believe that, ma'am. In fact, we practice it every day. Me being a very quiet learner during my school days, and I think most of us here would agree that at some time of our life, we were quiet learners, and later on, we came out to be whatever we are today. And when I was a student, I always used to believe and feel that I am one of the rejected ones. I mean, maybe because of the haircut, sometimes I was not taken in dances, sometimes, I'm accepting what was happening in my classrooms. So there was a point of time during my school days that one of our music teachers, they needed one extra person to fill up the stage. So come here. और मुझे खड़ा कर दिया वहाँ पे. And that was the day I did not realize he was doing it for that reason, that he was just, planning to fill up the stage. But I thought I am good. He has selected me. And from that day, I was every time a part of the school choir, gradually building up my confidence. So talking about skill building through co-curricular activities, as your question states, we practice project-based learning, ma'am, because it goes along with the curriculum. Co co-curricular. So lately, if, I'll just take 2-3 minutes to explain. We had a project in grade 1. They were learning about shapes, which is a simple topic for us. But when you look at it from a grade 1 learner, a 6-year-old child's perspective, identifying 2D shapes, moving on to 3D shapes, and then maybe working on patterns. It's not easy. It's just like me learning French right now. So what we did was to generate curiosity so that the child is ready for learning. We introduced a hook question that how can you come up with a toy factory? So a 6-year-old child is most fascinated about toys. They love toys. So what other than toys can engage them into learning? So they were happy, curious to know कि ma'am क्या कराने वाली, and principal ma'am is projecting this question in the classroom. So I said, we're going to make up a toy factory, and how are we going to make it? So ma'am, we need a few objects. So what type of objects? How will you fix them? Gradually bringing them to shapes and then helping them understand what is the difference between these two types of shapes. Children also did a project on, wearing clothes, the clothes that we wear, how it is made, how it is designed, how do we fold clothes. So these are small things, but if you go into the classroom, into great details, you will identify folding clothes is also a skill. Packing clothes is also a skill. It's a big industry now. So co-curricular activities at whatever level we conduct in our classroom, how deeper we can go as far as, the time is given to us as teachers, as principals, whatever we can plan for our children. At every level, there is lot of skill building that is happening. Extremely important is the collaboration skills, the problem solving skills, the critical thinking skills, and the communication skills.
Thank you so much, Madhu. Last question to the gentleman, and you have to finish within a second. We all understand that co-curricular activities develop core social and emotional skills while reducing high-risk behavior problems and long-term public assessment needs at a larger stage or later stage in life. What do you feel about it? Do co-curricular activities contribute towards changing the behavior of the students?
Yeah, definitely. I would like to add here that many times, like whatever the name we say, co-curricular, extracurricular, but in terms of the Indian education system, somehow it has been very deep-rooted, like we are traditionally too much focusing on the academics or the theoretical part. Whether we call it co-curricular, extracurricular does not makes much relevance. I think a huge mindset needs to be changed. Because I am coming from semiconductor background. Earlier I worked with ST Microelectronics, Philips Semiconductor. And out of the passion, we started a company, STEM Robo, and we are closely working with schools that how to build an innovation culture. What we have seen, like the world in which we are living today, 5-10 years down the line, when the students would be going into the real world, the kind of skill set, kind of requirements would be totally different. But what is happening is we are not able to give the credit to those extra skills, you can say, for example, problem solving skills, creativity, because English, Hindi, math, science, these are very theoretical things, but we are not able to create an ecosystem, and it will require effort from everyone. Suppose the student is going to play sports in the schools, right? Once the sports class is over, the teacher should also be able to explain that how it relates to the science concept. When you're throwing a ball, that 45-degree angle, the parabola concept, right? So maximum distance, if you're doing a javelin throw, how it relates to the science, right? Or mathematics if we are learning, or the way we are handling technology, if you are switching on the AC, why it is not switching on the television, right? So how the remote works. So that sort of mindset, where an interdisciplinary approach and our ability to take education beyond the theoretical parts, this is what is required and the need of the hour. And the skills like ability to have a very strong conviction, problem solving skills, and think out of the box. That is going to be really matter in the days and years to come for the students. So I think definitely it's very much required as a part of their character building and to weigh and think out of the box.
Great having all the panelists here. To just sum up in a sentence, it is very, very important for us to have classrooms which are not in vacuum. It is very, very important for us to have classroom wherein we build employability skills in the children, which is lacking as per different surveys conducted. It is very, very important to be passionate educators. Thank you so much for your inputs. Thank you so much. It was great having you all here.